Alright, so I wanted to make a video about the workflow that you have when you do CAD for our team. And it's going to be a lot different than when you're just doing CAD individually for uh, a personal project or whatever. But when you're doing it for the team, what you're going to want to do is log all of the parts that you put into your CAD, and that way it makes it easier to track what's fabricated and what needs to be bought and that kind of stuff. And this video is also going to be covering um, just like the general process of making a part and like uh, assigning materials, names, and bill of material stuff. So I already made this gearbox, just kind of threw it together really quickly, um, but I didn't assign materials to the parts that I made because most of these are COTS, but um, but the plate and the spacers and the hex are going to be fabricated by us. So I purposely didn't assign part names yet, which is something that you wouldn't want to do because that makes the bill of materials a lot harder to read. So what you're going to want to do is rename it to something that's descriptive. So I would put something like gearbox plate there, and then this part is the spacer. So I would put, sorry, it's a standoff. So I put gearbox standoff, and I want these to have materials so that we can correctly estimate the weight of the part and assembly. So what you want to do is go into assign material, and then this is sheet metal, so it's going to be 6061, and so you can check that. And this is shaft, this is shaft, so it's going to be 7075, I believe. And those are just two different types of aluminum. I think the difference is in like the hardness or whatever. I'm not really sure. But the thing is, it's just made of two different materials, and you can look up the materials on Vex or West Coast Products, and it'll tell you. And then you can put it into the thing. So if you forget, just go into the website and find the part that you want, or the stock that you want, and then it'll tell you. So yeah. So when you go into your assembly, you put all the parts together. You have the gears, you have the spacers, you have the pinions and motors and all that stuff. And then you can go into your bill of materials, which is automatically generated for you. And you have this long list of parts that's in your, that's everything that's in this assembly. And, well, you'll see, so actually, most of these are just parts of the motor, because the motor we just got from MKCAD, and it's just made of several parts that you put together, and so that's going to take up like the majority of them. But like parts like this, like the gearbox plate or the pinion, you're going to want to name those in the description just so you know what it is. So when you're done with an assembly, just kind of open up the bill of materials and just click on each part and give it like a name. And so you'll see, like, when you click on this, it highlights the two gearbox plates. So you just want to like name it that, and when you click on this, it'll highlight the two pinions, as you can see, and so you just want to name it pinions. And then what's really nice about this is that it gives you the quantity of the materials or of the parts that you use, so that you're able to put it right into your spreadsheet for ordering. And then what else? Oh yeah, so you just want to go through all these parts. It doesn't really take too long. Just name all of them, and then yeah, then you should be good. And then once you're done with your bill of materials and setting all of that up, what you're going to want to do, so usually during the build season, there's going to be a spreadsheet that we use just to track all of the parts and their status on like fabrication. So I put this together kind of quickly. It's gonna look something like this. It's just a list of parts really, and then the status of progress that they're in, the thickness of the material if it applies, material that they're made of, and the quantity. And sometimes we put machines, sometimes we don't. I don't know. So like just for example, we would have the gearbox plate, which corresponds to this part right here. And then so for the progress, you would say CAD finished. And then let's say you put in or you take the DXF and then you make the cam for it. And then you have that done, so you can say drawing/cam made. And then it'll change color and you can see what the status is of the part. And let's say we put that on the CNC and cut it out and it's done. You say part fabricated, and once it's green, you know it's finished, and you have both of them. And yeah, so you can say the part's done. Now for COTS parts, it's a little different. COTS is completely off the shelf. That's what it stands for. It just means that you just buy it from a store. So for COTS parts, you're just going to want to put the part name, but we don't fabricate them, so there's no like status of fabrication. So yeah, so what you want to do is put the part name. So let's say I'm doing it for this this gear right here. It's a 72 tooth 20 DP gear. So I would write that 72T 20 DP gear. And then you want the price of the item. It's just for like financial stuff. So you want to go into like West Coast Products or Vex and then find the price of the gear. So we're just going to scroll down and find 72 tooth 20 DP half-inch hex bore gear, and that's going to be $24.99. So you just put that into the thing, and then the quantity. So you can go back to your bill of materials for the quantity, and where is it? It's this part, right? And you can see that the quantity is 1. So just gonna put 1 in there, and then it already makes a total for you. Like if it was 2, it would bring it up there, but it's not. So we're gonna put 1, and then we have that. Then you're gonna want to put the link to buy the gear. This is just something to make everyone's lives easier, so that when they're buying it, they can just kind of go down the list and just click on the link and then add that to the cart and everything. So you don't need to put the link to like the specific gear, because we're going to be buying a lot of gears. So they just kind of, on West Coast Project, you just kind of go down, you check off everything you want, and then you like put the quantity. So you just copy and paste the link, and then you can Control K to put a link and then put a name. And I can just say gears, because that's the section of West Coast Products. And you apply that, and when I click on it, it'll take me there, and whoever's buying the products can just go down and just grab all that stuff that they want. And it's probably going to be a lot of stuff on West Coast Products. So yeah, that's kind of just generally the workflow that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to add to your spreadsheet, or we'll have a spreadsheet, and you're just going to add to it. Everyone's going to add to it. And then you're going to want to, every time you finish an assembly, you add all the parts to the spreadsheet. You make sure all of your parts have materials so that you can correctly know the weight. So like if I just select everything there and then do the weight here, it'll eventually load. I can say it's 1.175 pounds. That's probably not very accurate, because I know for a fact that the Falcons themselves weigh more than that. Actually, well, maybe just a little bit less, but 2 Falcons are going to weigh less than that. But, sorry, more than that. But that's because not all the materials are assigned right now. And yeah, so you're just going to want to, yeah, so step one is name your part, then assign a material. Then in the assembly, you're going to want to go through the bill of materials and assign a description to each part that you fabricate or know the name of. And then you're going to want to go through that bill of materials and then add it to the part tracking list. Then you're going to want to go to COTS and add all those parts and the links to the parts. And then you should be good. And yeah, that should just be a short thing, pretty easy to pick up. Just kind of make a habit out of it so that we're efficient and don't, make too many parts or like not enough parts.